محمد بچه ها کجایید؟
Ghazali had a brother, Ahmad al-Ghazali, who went on to become a major poet and Sufi figure in Persian literature. The relationship between the two men must have been a complex one. It seems to have been very affectionate, but it's almost certain that Ahmad al-Ghazali, more interested in ecstatic experiences, pouring forth these great torrents of rather Baroque Persian poetry about the love of God, was probably a little bit skeptical about the philosophical and theological activities of his brother.
شرمندم که چنین مصدق میشم. مطلبی بود که قصد داشتم در خلوت با تو بیان کنم، نه در محضر خانواده.
طوری شده؟
صحبت بسیاری در شهر و دانشگاه است. مبنی بر اینکه وای بر من گر ببینم برادرم چنین رخسارش زرد و پریشان شده است. آخر چگونه است؟ مگر بر تو چه گذشته است که جاه و مقام چنین در چشمانت ریشه دوانده؟ مگر از آن چیزی؟
I think what's happening to Imam al-Ghazali really is he wanted to be real, and I think he recognized how false he was. The fact that in the West we call personality, which is from the Roman word persona, which means mask, is already an awareness that the personality is somehow we're hiding behind something. And I think what happened was he became aware of his personality. He became aware of this mask, this exterior that he was presenting to the world, which was the wonder boy, the genius, the brilliant dialectician. And he's realizing that this can't be me, because he's realizing how horrible that person is.
Malgré mon succès, ma richesse et mon statut, mes doutes étaient revenus. Non pas en ce que je croyais, mais à propos de la façon dont je vivais ma vie, du grand confort matériel qui était le mien.
It may well be that the sanctity and spirituality and the effusive quality of Ahmad al-Ghazali's Islam was a kind of counterpoint to the formal book-based systematic theology that al-Ghazali was experiencing and dishing out in the mosques. And it may well be that eventually it was Ahmad's example, somebody who had cracked the problems of the meaning of life through the love of God and experience, rather than through logic chopping, was the final straw that broke the camel's back and precipitated the crisis.
تو دستت را به طرف آنها دراز می‌کنی و آنان پس می‌زنند. خود از قافله عقب مانده‌ای و آنها بی‌توجه می‌گذرند. تو راهنما شده‌ای، اما به راهنماییشان گوش نمی‌پنداری. سخن می‌گویی اما به سخنانشان گوش فرا نمی‌دهی. آخر ای سنگ نمور، تا کی برای تراشه آهن بر آن آب می‌پاشی؟ اما هرگز نمی‌اندیشی که خود خیس شده‌ای.
He came to a realization that all of this intellectual knowledge was in fact a very, very well camouflaged ignorance. And because he was ignorant of the most important thing, which was himself.
Six mois durant, je fus constamment déchiré entre mes désirs temporels et mon aspiration profonde à la vie éternelle. Et pour finir, le problème cessa d'être un choix pour devenir une compulsion.
And this is where the crisis begins. And he says that one day he would put a step forward and the next day back, and he said, I have to give up all this stuff. I have to find out. I have to set out on this path. And he's feeling the time. He's feeling this clock, this clock ticking. He's realizing, I've limited time here. Most of us don't like to think about that. The fact that we have no guarantees about tomorrow. He is really at that point where he realizes, I am mortal, I'm going to die. Have I prepared for this journey? And this is the only real crisis that has any meaning for a human being. So he had the truly existential crises of the human condition, which is our mortality.
Dieu fit sécher ma langue au point que je fus incapable d'enseigner. Chaque jour, je m'efforçais d'enseigner afin de répondre à la demande de mes étudiants. Mais ma langue ne m'autorisait pas la moindre parole. J'étais incapable d'accomplir quoi que ce soit.
For a man who has risen to prominence because of his tongue, to have his tongue taken away from him means that his prominence is taken away from him. He has lost everything in his inability to speak.
The crisis did not start with a physical illness, which would bring depression, you might say, modern terminology. It began with a mental, intellectual crisis and gradually seeped into a psychological or whole psychosomatic reality, into soul and body, you might say. And it went from up down and gradually began to affect his habit of eating, his appetite, his sleep, and he fell seriously ill.
فکر میکنم بیماری قلبی داره.
ولی به نظر من مشکلش باید مغزی باشه.
نه، مشکل از گردش خونشه. من که نمیتونم کاری بکنم.
از دست منم کاری ساخته نیست.
منم مثل شما کاری از دستم بر نمیاد.
پس هر سه توافق داریم.
ناراحتی جسمی نداره، روح و روانش بیماره.
Je m'interrogeais sur mes motivations et réalisais que mon travail n'avait pas été inspiré par un pur désir d'accéder au monde divin, mais qu'au contraire, j'avais été poussé par le désir d'atteindre une position influente et de m'attirer la reconnaissance publique. Je compris avec certitude que j'étais à l'extrême bord d'une falaise friable, risquant le feu de l'enfer, à moins de faire tout ce qui était en mon pouvoir pour changer ma manière de vivre.